Hey, what's up? Hello. If you're new here, my name is Kayla and you are watching Kayla's Bookish Vibes. Today's video is going to be a taste test for an author that I've never read from before, and that author is going to be Miss Abby Jimenez. Now, I just recently did an Amazon book haul here on my channel where I showed you all that I purchased just for the summer because it was 50% off on Amazon's recent sale that they had going on. And you all let me know in the comments down below that this book is actually a part of an interconnected series, which I was not aware of. And so, because I'm a series girly and I understand that when there's a series, whether it's interconnected standalones or not, I want to read all of them and I want to read them in the proper order. So of course I had to go and purchase Part of Your World and Yours Truly. And these are going to be the books that we are going to be reading into today's video. Now, I've actually already made it about 50% through Part of Your World because we recently just came back from a family trip to Myrtle Beach. We were there just for a day or two. Enjoying the sand, enjoying the sun, enjoying our time on the beach. And while there, I picked this book up and read 50% of it. This is a very easy book to get through. The writing style is very easy to read. There's nothing complicated about it. There are times where I feel like the writing is a bit too simple, but I feel like those are the types of books that make for the best beach reads because no thoughts are needed. You can just zone out and get lost. This is a contemporary romance, so obviously there's nothing too complicated that's going to emerge anyway, but the writing style itself is very simple and very easy to get through. Now, in this book, we are following Alexis and Daniel. Alexis and Daniel meet very early on. I would say like within the first 2 pages. Alexis is coming back from out of town. She has to cross through like a very small town and she runs into car trouble. The car ends up getting stuck in a ditch and Daniel is the one that just so happens to drive by and is able to dig her out of this ditch. That's how they meet. Again, it happens like within the first 2 pages of this book. Now, Alexis is a doctor. She comes from a long family of doctors. Her situation kind of reminds me of Grey's Anatomy, if you're familiar with that show. She is reeling from a breakup and her ex is a surgeon at the hospital that she currently works at. Definitely giving Grey's Anatomy vibes. In fact, when Abby Jimenez described Neil, I think it's the ex's name, when she described him in this book, I immediately thought of McSteamy. If you're familiar with that show, you know exactly who I'm talking about. But as she was describing Neil, that's exactly who I saw in my mind for the ex. Like I said, she comes from like a legacy of doctors. It's something that runs in the family and she's kind of struggling with her profession. So we get to explore a little bit of that with Alexis. And we do also get to explore how she navigates working with her ex and having to interact with him more than she would like to. Now, Daniel, on the other hand, is the complete opposite of Alexis. He is a mayor of a small town and he also runs a bed and breakfast in that small town. He works well with his hands. He's able to build furniture, but he's more of like the outdoorsy type. He's literally the antithesis of Alexis, which hence the reason the book is called Part of Your World, because they're going to fall in love and have to integrate their worlds together. Now, Alexis is realizing the more time that she spends with Daniel that she's really enjoying his part of the world, but she's also realizing he can never fit into hers. So I'm assuming that the conflict is going to come in when she tries to integrate him. It is an age gap romance. Typically, I don't like age gap romances, but this one I think is, I'm willing to work through it because our female main character is actually the older one in the relationship. She is 10 years older than Daniel. What's really rubbing me the wrong way though is Alexis is very immature. For her to be the older one in this relationship, I feel like she's the more immature one and I'm not liking it. Daniel is just so kind and so sweet and he's giving like all the golden retriever vibes. And I feel like Alexis is mistreating him and that is unfortunate because I really enjoy Daniel's character. But I am hoping that this leaves room for a character arc. I'm hoping that Alexis just matures, grows up, realizes what she has in Daniel, and stops allowing her family and her ex to get in the way of that. I have done all of my responsibilities. All of my things on my to-do list are checked off. It's a Sunday, and I just plan on sitting here and reading the second half of this book. So I will come back to you guys when I have completed this book and give you all my final thoughts. And then we can start Yours Truly. Everyone needs a friend like Doug. Everyone needs a friend like Doug. Not a ring light. If you've read this book, then you know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the ring light and I'm talking about Doug. I'm picturing this happening in real life and I cannot. No. Liz is on it too. What the hell? God, Liz. I had to borrow light. Y'all, if you don't read this book for any other reason, read it so that you get to the part where the ring light is involved. This has been the funniest part. This is now officially a rom-com. Usually in rom-coms, it's a lot of rom but no com. I finally got some com in a rom-com. I really hope my boy Daniel doesn't get his feelings hurt, or Alexis is gonna have to see me.
2,000 years later.
It's 1 o'clock in the morning, and I have finally finished Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. I'm gonna sleep on my reading, and I'll let you guys know in the morning. And then we will start Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. I'm kind of glad that I'm like reading this in close succession. Yeah, I have no words that would make sense at the moment. I just want to sleep. So see you tomorrow. All right, guys, I need to give you my final thoughts on Part of Your World and let you guys know my initial thoughts on Yours Truly. So in Part of Your World, I ended up landing on a solid 3.5. I enjoyed the book a little bit more than mid-level, so that's where the 0.5 is coming from. I just wasn't as in love with our female main character Alexis as I would want to be in order to give it like a solid 4 or 5. She was very immature in certain aspects, and I felt that because she was almost 40, there were some things that I just didn't understand why she was still struggling with these specific things. And we did kind of like go over her upbringing and how she was raised and how that contributed to why she was so immature. I don't want to give anything away, but I ended up giving it a solid 3.5. I loved our male main character. He was so sweet, so kind. I loved how the village people, or like the townspeople, treated him because he was so kind. Like, you can always tell how good a person is based on how those around them, those closest to them, treat them. And the townspeople always pulled together for Daniel, went out of their way for him, or Derek. What was his name, y'all? I forget. Because he was just such a great guy. So loved that. Enjoyed the book. 3.5. Now, I have been seeing everyone and their mama reading Just for the Summer, and they've been making like these little things on Instagram where they're like rating all of Abby Jimenez's books, and I'm feeling very confident because I feel like how I'm feeling about the book so far is kind of like tracking with everyone else. So everyone else really loved Yours Truly. They loved it way more than Part of Your World, and I'm about 90 pages into Yours Truly, and I agree. I concur wholeheartedly. I'm enjoying this book so much more than I enjoyed Part of Your World. And part of that's probably because Brianna, which is our main character in this book, comes up in the first book, and I loved her even more than our female main character in the first book. So I'm glad that we get to follow her love story in this one. And I think that has a lot to do with why I'm enjoying this book so much more. Our male main character in this book's name is Jacob, and he suffers from anxiety. And the way Abby is explaining anxiety in this book is also just like top tier for me, and it's probably why I'm also really enjoying it, because I can relate to Jacob on a whole nother level. Okay, I feel like Abby probably has anxiety herself, or is very close to someone who does, who can explain to her some of the smallest things that give people anxiety to even some of the biggest things. The scope obviously is different for everyone, but Jacob's scope is probably identical to my own. So yeah, anxiety rep is top tier in this book. Brianna knowing how to interact and handle an introvert is also supreme. I feel like the world would be such a better place if people understood that introverts want to be invited, even though we probably won't come. And if we do come, we just kind of want to chill. Also, Jacob has a plant room. None of this has to do with the synopsis. I'll get to that. Jacob has a plant room, and that is my lifelong goal. Like, I want to have a plant room that also doubles as a book room. Like, I want to feel like I'm reading in the jungle, okay? And the fact that he has a plant room I'm jelly. Like, I want that for my real life. I want that to be my reality. Now for the actual synopsis, like, what is this book about? So we're following Brianna. She's still working in the same hospital. She's up for a promotion and she really wants to get this job. Brianna's brother is on dialysis and he needs a new kidney. She's kind of taking care of her brother, and that's having a toll on her because she's struggling to take care of herself. We have like these ideas of what our lives are going to look like when we enter our 30s, and hers just isn't panning out or looking the way that she thought it would. So she's struggling with that. Struggling on the dating scene, she's struggling. So she wants to pour herself into her job and she's up for promotion. Well, unbeknownst to her, there's someone that she believes is competing with her, and it's a new guy, Jacob. So this is like an enemies to lovers, I guess. Jacob is new to the hospital and the nurses hate him. They hate him because they misunderstand him. Jacob, like I said, has anxiety and he's introverted. So sometimes he can kind of come off as being harsh or rude or not necessarily friendly in the beginning. But Brianna is able to crack the code and realizes that he's none of those things. And they start to correspond with each other through letters. I love that aspect. Something that I loved about The Neighbor Favor by Christina Forrest is that they were corresponding in the very beginning of the book through emails. I loved that. I thought it was so cute. So when I realized that they were going to be corresponding in the beginning through notes and letters, I was like, yeah, this is probably going to be my favorite book, because something about that just does it for me. So that's all I've really gotten to so far. I equally love the female main character and the male main character, which means I'm going to enjoy this book. And as long as the anxiety rep continues to be like top tier and doesn't go left, I think we'll be okay with this book. I'm really enjoying it, and I don't want to speak too soon, but it's giving 4 stars. All right, y'all, we can do a 50% mark update. We have reached the halfway point of this book, and I wanted to give you my updated thoughts so far. I will say I'm really enjoying the balance that Abby is striking with like the medical talk. Grey's Anatomy is one of my favorite shows, and I think I've already compared one of her books to Grey's Anatomy, the last book that I read. But she does a really good job with striking a balance between like the medical talk and it not feeling like too hospital-ish where you just like lose interest. Both of our main characters are doctors. They're both ER doctors. I really enjoy like the scenes where they're at the hospital, and even like just some of the medical talk that they bring up throughout the book I really enjoy. My thoughts on this book have not changed from the first 20%. I'm still absolutely loving it. At this point, they have started to fake date, and Brianna is very protective. And I love that about her character. She's very feisty, and I wish, and I don't know if it's going to happen, but I wish she would go into more detail about what happened with her and her ex-husband. Like when she found out that he was cheating on her, which is not necessarily a spoiler. Like you find that out very early. You actually find that out in the first book, that she's going through a divorce. It's been hinted at that she got a little petty. She got a little petty with her ex, and I really want to know, what did she do? Like specifically, what did Brianna do when she found out that he was cheating? This is definitely a slow burn, so if you're not into slow burns, this is probably not for you, because again, I'm about 50% through, babes, and it's a slow burn. I'll just say that. I have absolutely nothing to do today. I just ordered me some Chick-fil-A for lunch, so I'm gonna sit here, read my book, eat my food when it comes, and just continue to read until I finish it. Our food is here. Love that for me. Chick-fil-A. I got a Cobb salad and a large fry. I'm going to enjoy this while I finish reading, and I'll come to you guys when I have an actual update on the ending of the book. This could be the bitter Betty in me, but Abby has this way of making our characters come to terms with people from their past in such a grown-up and mature way, when I would much prefer for them not to be so mature about the subject, about the matter at hand. Because if anybody deserves to go off, it's Jacob. Go off, Jacob. It's almost 11 o'clock. And we finally finished Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. I was right. This is a 4. This is a 4-star book. The pacing I feel like was still perfect. So there's not really much more I can say than what I've already told you because anything else would just be ruining the book. But some of my favorite parts, one of my favorite parts was like the smallest part. And it wasn't even really expounded on, but it was so sweet. So there was a part in the book where Jacob was going to visit Brianna somewhere that he had never been before. And she knew that he was coming. So she sent him a picture of the driveway so that he would know what to expect when he got there. And I know that sounds like so small, but it's someone who can attest to the facts that if I have to go somewhere that I've never been before and I don't know the parking situation or the parking situation is stressful, I'm literally just not coming. Her sending that picture knowing how he would react to it was so sweet. I still think this is going to be a 3-star. I think I gave it a 3.5, but after reading this one, it's more of a 3. And this was a 4. I absolutely adored this book. I ended up finding out what Brianna did to her ex that was so petty. And I actually really loved that part too. It was actually really funny. And some of her ideas were very crafty. She was creative. She was definitely creative. There was also a lot of miscommunication in this book. A lot of things just not being said that if they just would have communicated, so many things just could have been like avoided. But it is what it is. It's romance. Those types of things happen in these books. That's what makes it entertaining, I guess. I found it to be a little bit annoying because it was like, just open your mouth and talk. And these are not like 19, 20-year-olds. These are people like in their mid-30s. Communicate. But overall, I still really, really enjoyed this book. And I'm so glad I picked this up. Honestly, part of Your World I could have done without. But I am really glad that I did this video simply for this one. Now, the whole point of my taste test videos is to figure out if an author that I've never read before can become an auto-buy author. So after reading these 2 books, is Abby Jimenez an auto-buy author for me? I will have to say the jury is still out on that one because this one was just a mid book and this one I adored so much. We need another book to kind of like tip the scales, and I think that book for me is going to have to be Just for the Summer. This is on my summer reading list. I do want to get to it. I think I need like a little bit of a break though from Abby Jimenez. Honestly, a little break from romances in general. I've been reading a lot of romances lately and I don't want to put myself back into a reading slump. But I think after I read this book, then I'll know for sure if Abby Jimenez will be an auto-buy author for me. So far, I really like her books though. I'm going to read this one, see how I like it. And then if I do really enjoy this book, then I'll continue to buy Miss Abby Jimenez. I will keep a lookout for her books and just check out the synopsises and maybe buy the ones that like pique my interest. The themes that were explored in this book was mostly knowing you and knowing your strengths and realizing that not everyone will be able to appreciate those. Their previous partners definitely could not appreciate who they were, but Jacob and Brianna were able to appreciate that in each other. One of the quotes that Abby used in this book was like the fish quote. Everyone is a genius, but if you judge a fish by how well it can climb a tree, then the fish will spend its whole life thinking that it's stupid. That is like honestly one of my favorite quotes. And it is a quote that actually led me to homeschooling my kids. So when I saw that and how she was able to apply it to the couple in this book, it just made this book even more special to me. So yeah, those are all my final thoughts on this book. I really, really enjoyed it. All right, guys, that's all I have for you in today's video. And I'm tired. So please, if you made it to the end of today's video, leave this emoji so that I know you stayed until the very end. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And please share this video with someone that you know enjoys bookish content and would really help out my channel. I will see you all in my next video.